real problem we have now is we have other countries that are copying us, Singapore, Korea, China, and so forth, that have very directed industrial policies around sectors. So China, for example, has decided to focus on green energy, and there's some evidence that some of the key companies will now be founded in China. That's a real loss to America, where much of this technology was originally invented.
But isn't that inevitable in the sense that I hear about solar panels being made in China? Now, even if we invent the next great solar idea, won't the manufactured product move to China? Because solar panels, after all, are a manufactured product, and China has much lower costs of manufacturing. So even if you innovate, does the manufacturing go somewhere else?
But you see, that's an example of fighting the last war. The next war is over nanotechnology, new mineral surfaces that touch and move when you use them, and all sorts of amazing new things that have been invented here in America. The opportunity is to actually build those businesses in America before the other countries get them. The solar panel one may be one that was a decade ago, but there's a new set now that we need to stay focused on.
So what does now Google, of course, pours billions of dollars and 20% of its employees' time into innovation and R&D. But Google can do that because, well, it's Google. But historically, it was the government that spent massively on research. Eric Schmidt says that's where government needs to step in. Is there something the government can do in the legal framework, in the business? I mean, is there something we should be doing to get more of this?
The single biggest act that the government did many years ago was the funding of what is known as the DARPA, the Advanced Research Projects Agency, and other governmental programs. Those are periodically under federal budget attack for one reason or another, and yet they are literally the start of billion-dollar industries. It's important that that investment occur, and even at a time now when everyone's worried about spending money, the investments we make now in universities and research that allow these entrepreneurs to get their start will create the employment 10, 20 years from now that we'll all be so excited about.
So you're talking about government investment, you're talking about DARPA, you talked about industrial policy. You really see a big role for government in jump-starting growth.
Well, people assume that somehow America's government was not involved in the world 50 years ago. Almost all of the science and technology research that we take to granted now came out of the Defense Department spending post-World War II.
Let's just stop here for a second and tally up some of those government-sponsored inventions. The semiconductor industry, for example, would not exist if not for the DoD, the Department of Defense. The internet, well, Al Gore didn't invent it, but DARPA did, the defense agency that funds new technologies. The computer industry, for years, NASA was its main client and kept it alive and growing. And what about GPS? I'm not talking about this show, but about the worldwide network of satellites that can tell you within feet where you are, almost anywhere on the globe. That's powering the next wave of innovation on the web, mobile telephony. That's going to be an industry with tens of billions of dollars in revenue. And that was also a Defense Department project.